What's up, y'all? It's your girl Shay Renee, and today we are going to talk about the Kings of Napa, episode 7. And we're going to start out with talking about that kiss that I forgot about last week. Child, Dana saw what he didn't want to see on them cameras. Okay, his wife had a very sensual, let's be honest, moment with his sister cousin. Okay, and mm, let's get into this episode, shall we? So y'all, like I said, that last episode, episode 6, ended with them kissing and with Bridget basically admitting that she knew that Reginald was her father for quite some time and that she was going to be the ticket to Rose being successful without being married to Dana. So I don't know what that looks like. I guess she's trying to run off with Rose, child, but I don't know what's going on. But now getting into episode 7, it starts out with this scene of it looking like Bridget is in the back of a cop car, and then her mom, Melanie, is on the side of the sidewalk, just kind of like foaming at the mouth or whatever, and she's on the verge of passing out. And there's Vanessa standing over her, August, and Dana is out there. It's just a whole mess, okay? So that is like the precursor to the actual end of the episode, right? So they're kind of leading up to how this happens. So getting to that was just a sneak preview of what happens. Then they go into how it built up. So we see Dana and August are walking and talking about the grapes and the vines getting flooded due to the weather. And Dana is being negative as usual, okay? And August asks, where is Rose? And he says she's at a yoga class. So all of this time he's deflecting because he knows that him and Rose are just not on a good page right now. They didn't show them actually having a conversation about what he saw, but I'm sure they've talked about it or something has transpired because he's making up where Rose is throughout the entire episode, knowing that he's actually having her watched, because we see a scene where there's a text message coming from someone that tells him that Rose has actually arrived in New York. And so she left. So I don't know what transpired between the two for her to have left, but whatever it was, she was upset. Okay. So then they start talking. The maid comes in and tells them Bridget is at the production facility, and because as they were supposed to have the family there to go over the promotional materials for the new sweet wine. And the maid comes in and tells them Bridget is at the production facility and wants them there as soon as possible. And Dana thinks she's trying to poison the grapes. So everybody is doing everything but at this meeting. So now they see why Bridget ain't there. So they go rushing to the office to see what's going on. So once they get there, mind you, I'm going to let y'all know this episode I feel like was a total waste of space, sort of, to me. I hope it's like a connection to something, because I really feel like this was like a waste of time episode. It was like a filler, if you will. But we're going to talk about it anyway because we have to, right? So Dana and August get to the facility, and Bridget says she needs to tell them something she's been holding on to, but she can't tell them until her mom gets there. And Dana walks out to go check on Bridget being the extortionist, because he's like, listen, we don't really have time for this. And so does August. Is just like, you know what? Can you just tell us what's going on now? Because we really don't have time for this. Like, we're trying to get this dessert wine going. We have a lot going on. And this right here, this little foo-foo stuff you doing, this is just a waste of our time. And mind you, while she's doing all these shenanigans, she drinking out of some expensive glass that belongs to August's mom, Vanessa. And August goes back, they reminisce on how when they were little, the mom used to always threaten them with different things. And she would say, you know, yeah, my mom has a lot of bark, but no bite. And they bonded on that and started laughing. But then August was like, but for real though, can you put the glass down? Because I don't want to hear my mama's mouth. Like, seriously. And Bridget is like, well, this is so good that I deserve this glass, basically, and I'm going to drink out of this glass. So basically nothing August was going to say was going to get her to get rid of that damn glass, child. So then here comes Melanie walking in the door with Dana, and then she's like, okay, come on. Dana's like, all right, come on, get on with it. What's going on? So then Bridget tells them that their grandmother is locked up in a mental ward in upstate New York. And Dana grabs Bridget to try her to pull her out of there, saying she's drunk and lying because clearly she's been drinking wine the whole time she's been there. And so Melanie says, who told you this? And here comes Vanessa walking in, slamming the door, and she says, you know, try to lie your way out of this one, Melanie. And then all of a sudden, for dramatics, the lights go off. So apparently the weather was so bad that it knocked out the power. So now all of them are locked in this room together and they can't get out. And the doors are actually attached to the electricity somehow. So they can't get out the room. Now the temperature of the grapes is lowering and it's going to potentially have them spoil. So they have 3 hours until these grapes are actually going to be completely done for. And all the money that they've spent is now going to waste. Okay. So lights are out. They're locked in. The doors are connected to the power source. The grapes temperature is lowering. Melanie asks, why did Vanessa tell Bridget? August tells Bridget she needs to figure out how to keep the grapes fermented, and she's going crazy because this wine is what's supposed to save them financially. So August is thinking about the grapes. Bridget is thinking about telling the whole family this another big lie that's going on. Melanie trying to figure out why the hell Vanessa even told this girl this stuff. So it's just a whole cluster of different things going on right now. So Melanie ends up, Vanessa said, you know, basically, I wanted to hurt you the same way you did by telling Dana about what happened when he was little or whatever, or no, about you having that news reporter come and do that story on Dana. You did that to try to hurt me. So now I'm going to hurt you by taking your child to see exactly what you did and how you contributed to having our mother in the psych ward in the beginning. Because there's this whole story behind, apparently Melanie was such a wild child that she came home late one night and the father got so upset that he had a brain aneurysm and died, which in all actuality, that's not really what happened. Melanie ends up telling the correct story where she's like, you know, for years, I let mom go on with that story and it ate me up. And that's why I always stayed gone, because I never wanted to be around her and I never wanted to kind of air her out. So basically, Melanie ends up eventually telling them that the reason why the father passed away was because, yes, she did come home late one night. The mother was so angry with her. She was yelling at her and this, that, and the third. And the father came to protect Melanie from the mother. And apparently the mother reached back the wrong way to like stop the father from getting in the midst of their stuff. And the father falls back, hits his head on the coffee table, and that causes the brain aneurysm. So it was basically the mother's fault that the father had the actual brain aneurysm. Okay. So then, so it wasn't Melanie's fault. The mother calls the police and she tells Melanie, let me handle it. So Melanie says the whole time the mother is telling the police what's going on, she seems to continue to forget that she was the reason why this man fell back on the coffee table, because she pushed him. Okay. So she lied, didn't tell the truth. She blamed it all on God knows what. And then she told everybody else that it was Melanie's fault. So Melanie was acting out in her young age, and then she ended up leaving and going to Atlanta and leaving Vanessa there to take care of the mom by herself. Okay. So basically the mom lied to Vanessa about everything. She said she acted up because she didn't know what else to do, because she had to hide such a dark secret. So that in turn led her to leave to go to Georgia. And Vanessa was upset because Melanie left her to take care of the mom. So then Melanie and Bridget, so in the next scene, Melanie and Bridget laugh about the mom saying exactly what they said she would when she saw the expensive glass was missing. Oh, I'm sorry. August and Bridget have a laugh because the mom notices that Vanessa notices that Bridget is actually drinking out of the glass like earlier. And she says, there's going to be some children or something. I don't know what she said. But anyway, she said the same exact thing that they said earlier with the bark and no bite type of situation. So whatever, irrelevant scene, all of this to me. So Dana doesn't laugh when they both have a laugh about it. And Bridget says, why aren't you laughing? You used to think drinking out of glasses was fun. Like drinking out of the expensive glasses was fun. That's the only reason why I even brought up the scene, because it led to talking about Dana. And now, since he knows what went on with Bridget, he ain't really got no talk for her. So he's like giving her the cold shoulder the whole time, saying little mean, nasty things to her. And Bridget just doesn't understand why he's giving her the cold shoulder. So anyway, he said not anymore. And he's basically still mad about her kissing his wife, but he hasn't said anything yet. So then they find a fondue pot and reminisce over it. And Bridget asks Dana to fire it up. And then he gives her an attitude again, saying no. So everybody like, what the hell done got into you? So then Bridget asked, why didn't Melanie come back when Vanessa asked her to? Because Vanessa she told her side of the story about how she was really upset having to grow up and like dealing with their mother. Like the mother became very manic. Like she really exhibited a lot of different mental issues. She had to take care of the mother. And then when it became unbearable, that was when she actually decided to put the mom in a home because she just couldn't take it anymore. There was nothing that she could do to provide her with the care that she needed. And she always was upset because Melanie had called one day or something, and she asked Melanie to come home and help, and Melanie didn't ever come back. So she felt abandoned by her sister. And so Melanie just kept saying, I just couldn't take it. She says, I just couldn't deal with the guilt. So then Vanessa says, I can forgive you about mom, but I can't forgive you for having an affair with my husband. She said to Melanie that she has an Oedipal complex, that the reason why she slept with her husband, Reginald, is because Reginald smiled like the daddy. He had the same personality as the daddy. Like he was just basically the daddy. And I'm like, well, bitch, wasn't that your daddy too? Then do you got an Oedipal complex? Because you actually married him. Because they talk about how gentle and kind their dad was. So there was no way that he would have been so angry and enraged at Melanie. So that whole cockamamie story that the mom built up, it just didn't make any sense for Vanessa to believe it in the beginning, that Melanie somehow killed their father. So now Vanessa trying to say that Melanie wanted to be with Reginald, which is her husband, because he acted like the daddy. And I'm just like, the whole time, I'm like, that's your daddy too. And you married this man. So are you being with him because he act like your daddy and look like your daddy? I don't know what's going on, but that whole situation was just weird to me. So anyway, she tells Melanie she needs some intense therapy and she needs to deal with her issues, okay? Then Melanie says, I never chased after Reginald and I didn't have to throw it at him. She said he asked for it gently, slowly. So she was kind of being a little extra, and Vanessa lunges at her like she gonna beat the brakes off her. And Vanessa says she wanted her to feel the same misery and hurt she put her through. And I'm just like, come on, Vanessa, this whole vindictive side of you, it's just doing too much, and you're not good at it. You need to just stop. So anyway, moving right along, Melanie says the real affair didn't start until Vanessa walked out on her children. So apparently Vanessa she had the kids and she loved being a mom, but she also loved being a career woman. She felt like she lost herself once she became a wife and a mom. So she was an anchor she wanted to be an anchor on TV. So she on the news. So she got an opportunity. And when the opportunity came, she actually talked to Reginald about it and she left and became a news anchor. And so when she was gone, Melanie kind of stepped in to play the mom role for the kids while she was gone. So she loved her career. She said she felt like she represented, the Black people on TV. It gave Black women opportunities and showed young Black girls that, this is possible. This can really happen. And she just really felt like a huge icon, the epitome of yes, you can and yes, you will. Okay. So then, as time went along, she started to feel she really missed her children. So she ended up leaving and coming back home to be with the kids because they were like, why don't I remember this? And she was like, because it wasn't really that long of a time. So during this time, I guess, is where the relationship sparked up between Melanie and Reginald. So when she came back, apparently she had gotten, I guess Bridget had to have already been born if Reginald and Vanessa already had August and Dana. So when she comes back, apparently, her and Reginald were having some issues and they were actually going to be separated, but they came back together and then Christian was born. So Christian was kind of like the baby that held them all together. Okay. So then August asked, why is okay? So if that's the case, you wanted to follow your dreams and be this career person. Why you always breathing down my back to have a damn baby? And you always telling me I need to slow down on working and do all this and do that. And the mom was like, because I want you guys to be happy. And August was like, this is not the 70s and this is not the 60s and the 70s, mom. Having children is not the epitome of like the answer to being happy. Like, I'm happy in my career. I'm happy. Like, she's basically telling her, I'm happy doing what I'm doing. Just because, and you are saying that having children should make people happy. It didn't even make your ass happy. You left to go be a damn anchor. So what are you talking about? That's not the definition of happiness, having children. Having kids and being married and all that stuff is not the cornerstone of happiness for everybody. Okay. That's not the dictionary definition of you have not achieved life until you married and have kids. No. And August is like, you need to respect that and don't push me to do something that you obviously wasn't pressed to do. Like, you want to always continue to look like the perfect mom. And clearly we every time we turn around and learn something new about your ass, you ain't the person we thought you were. So then they all hug it out and forgive each other, blah, blah, blah. Then Dana gets a text from Rose saying she went to New York because she needs to breathe. So that text that he got before is from somebody that he got following Rose, apparently. It's probably damn Quincy. So then Dana gets emotional. Vanessa and August ask, is it about Rose? And he says, why does it matter? You can't sprinkle glitter on shit. And he says his parents were in a dysfunctional marriage and never gave them positive examples. That's why he's in the situation that he's in now in his marriage. And I'm like, Dana, are you kidding me? You're going to sit up here and blame your parents for you being a shitty husband? You sat up there and jacked off to the financial magazine when you were trying to get the sperm count or the sperm sample to have children. You don't even think about your wife and decisions that you make. You just have her around as an extra person to agree with you. So that's what it looked like to me. So what are you talking about? You cannot blame your parents for your shortcomings in your relationship and you not paying attention to your wife. That don't have nothing to do with your mama and your daddy. That's you. You are a terrible partner. Okay? That's why she over here sleeping with your sister cousin. And that's a different story for a different day, and that on that. Okay, period. So then Vanessa says, why didn't you tell me you were having problems? And he says, because they're my problems. And he tells them that Rose is in New York. So Bridget asked Melanie, why didn't she leave? Why did she leave her with the King family? And she said the guilt of the affair hurt her and she needed to get away. And then she felt so sorry for leaving Bridget with them. And Bridget says she feels like a repellent to everything around her because she always feels abandoned. Then she tells her mom about Rose, basically. But she says, yeah, I love this woman, but she's married. And I just really, me feeling like a repellent to everything. I feel like I'm causing a demise to her marriage, and I would never want to hurt her marriage because the people involved are very important to me. So then put two and two together. Here come Dana come running out the office to my, have you talked to my wife? You did this. And Rose was texting Bridget at the same time, telling her that she had made it to New York and all this, that, and the third, and how she appreciated the conversation and all that. So they were communicating positively. And Rose was telling Dana to kick rocks. Like, she ain't got time. She ain't got no time for his fake BS. Okay. So then in the next scene, she says, how did we get here? Bridget gives a speech about how they are all, I'm sorry. So they all are arguing about Bridget, potentially what's going on with her and Rose. Dana's going back and forth. So everybody yelling. So August is about to have a damn anxiety attack. So she stops them all and says, how the hell did we get here? Like, this family has so many secrets and this, that, and the third, but throughout all of it, we always have each other's back. So she gives this whole Rocky Balboa speech that brings the troops together. Okay. And then in the end of it all, she says, let's lift each other up and not tear each other down. Continue the badass legacy Reginald King started. Then the power comes on and the temperature of the grape stops dropping. They save the dessert wine, and Vanessa says she's willing to take baby steps to forgive Melanie over Reginald. Okay. So they all go back to the house. They're dancing and drinking and eating and having a good old time while Dana's sitting in the corner with his bib on, child, eating his food and like analyzing the scene, just thinking about when he gonna fuck some shit up next. Okay. So then Bridget asks Dana if they can talk, and he says, "We're good." And I'm like, wow. So then Dana tells her so then all of a sudden the police come to the door, and the maid or whoever lets them in. So they come in and they immediately start handcuffing Bridget. So Dana is like, "You're the extortionist. Yeah, I called the police on you." And August is like, "Why would you do that? Like, why would you do that without consulting me first?" And then he tells them that he saw Bridget and Rose kissing on the camera, and that he also heard her say that she always knew that Reginald was her father. She knew longer than she led on that she knew. And so August is like, "So this is all get back. You're not doing this because you think she's the extortionist. You're doing this because of Rose, her relationship with Rose." And he said, "I'm doing it for both." And August is like, "This is just a whole cluster." So they go outside. The police officer has shoved Bridget into the car. In the process of him shoving Bridget in the car, he elbows Melanie, which Melanie was also in a previous scene feeling lightheaded. And that comes from her doctor's appointment, where the doctor was like, "You really need to be monitored. Make sure you have some family members around you because something is quite off with your equilibrium, and we just want to monitor you." So she's already having some off issues with her body. The officer elbows her some kind of way, and I don't even think he notices, or maybe he did, and he clearly didn't care after she fell on the ground. So she falls on the ground. She's having what seems to be a seizure, or something is going on where she's foaming at the mouth. They're yelling and they're trying to get somebody to help them, and that's how the scene ends. So it's basically the scene ends the same way it started, to kind of give you a prelude of how the episode was going to go. So, like I said, totally a filler episode. I really hope that we can finally get to the bottom of this extortionist BS. And I don't know. Somehow, I don't think Bridget is the extortionist through all of this. I think Kelvin is the extortionist. And I feel like August tell him too damn much, because she just kind of give him a play-by-play of everything that's going on. It just doesn't make any sense. So, at any event, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. Okay, make sure you share this video with other people that watch this show as well. And I will see you in the next video. Peace out.